Welcome to the podcast in October. That's right, everyone. We're doing our Halloween recommendations again. This is our fifth one that we've done.
I do believe.
Yeah, we've been doing good on this. It's a fun podcast to do, and it's a fun podcast to listen to.
And it's also very, very low effort.
Which is our favorite thing, is low effort.
Alrighty, so we're going to talk about, recommend a bunch of movies, shows, games, books, or stories that we think are fit for October, for fall, Halloween season in general.
That's kind of the idea. We're just going to say things that we like, things that we think help elevate the season. As per usual, everything from our previous podcasts apply.
Yep. Which we honestly should put into like a playlist or something.
I think we should. I think I have them in a playlist with all the other podcasts, but not as their own.
Yeah. Because it's not just the recommendations videos. We also throw some stuff in the end at for our Halloween special.
Mm-hmm.
There will be some stuff at the end. So yeah, we'll put all those in the playlist. Watch those. If you're upset that something you like wasn't recommended, well, it might have been recommended in years past, or maybe it wasn't because it actually kind of sucks, and you need to think on that for a bit. Alrighty.
The other thing we should mention is that one of the most fun things about this podcast is we love listening to what other people have. If you have any recommendations of things that you like, just throw them in the comments below, and then we'll check one of those out for our Halloween special.
Yep. And also, just if you check anything out that we recommend here in this video or from past years, just let us know what you thought of it. Because I think we've had that happen at least once.
Yeah, I think we have.
So anyway, let's just get into it.
All right. Well, we're going to start with Halloween movies.
This is kind of a double whammy. 2 Roger Corman, Vincent Price, like Edgar Allan Poe movies. Mask of the Red Death and House of Usher, or as it's sometimes known as Fall of the House of Usher. 2 very, very... how would I describe it? They're kind of B-movie-ish, but as you probably know if you're familiar with Vincent Price, with Roger Corman, they made a bunch of these, like, Edgar Allan Poe type movies, adaptations. Some of them actually aren't adaptations of his books, or his stories, I should say, and they're kind of branded as such just for consistency.
I think the most guilty of that is the movie The Conqueror Worm, which is just a British movie called Witchfinder General, that they're just like, hey, throw an Edgar Allan Poe story name on there, and then we'll just sell it.
Yeah, Vincent Price, just recite some lines from it in the beginning. We'll add it on. But no, there's also another one, Haunted Palace. Apparently it's a H.P. Lovecraft
Oh, really?
adaptation, which I might talk about towards the end of the month. But anyway, so Mask of the Red Death, it's about this prince who... and the local village nearby is suffering from a plague called Red Death, and he decides to shut himself and all of his buddies in and have like a party while everybody else is dying of plague. That's just the gist of it. There's more to it than that.
Yeah, well, I want to make a pandemic joke, but I feel like the pandemic was too long ago.
Yeah, I mean it's a pretty cut and dry adaptation of the story. I mean, they do pad it out, obviously, and they also kind of adapt Hop Frog, another of Poe's stories in there. They just kind of throw it in there. House of Usher is kind of a similar case. It's very close to the short story, but they pad it just to make it feature length.
That got like a modern remake recently, didn't it? I think like a TV show.
Probably. It's been adapted several times. I don't know if the Corman one's like the most known example of that, or if there are others that are, but that's the one I knew just because of Vincent Price being in it. And yeah, I thought it was alright. I was half watching it, but I don't know.
Yeah, that works. Alright, here we go. So now I get to recommend one of my movies.
And
you still have more notes?
Yeah, of the 2, I would say probably I'd prefer Mask of the Red Death, so maybe start there, and if that's not your thing, then don't check out House of Usher. Both are very stylistic, and I think that one kind of does a much better job in like pretty much all departments.
Okay, so the movie I want to talk about, and for some stupid reason I've never talked about this movie, despite it being one of my all-time favorite Halloween-type movies, and that is 2004's Van Helsing. Have you seen this movie, Connor?
No, I just remember when it came out.
Okay.
And everybody was talking about it, and it was advertised everywhere. They made video game adaptations of it.
Yeah. They wanted it to be they wanted to launch a big franchise, and I'll talk about this a little bit later.
Oh.
I think that's a weird idea. But a lot of people say this movie sucks. And they're probably right. But I still like it anyways. This is like a very good guilty pleasure movie for me. And the way you have to approach it is you just have to watch it under the eyes of a 10-year-old. Because that's basically who this movie was made for, was 10-year-olds. And it's basically just, they took all of these action figures and had them fight each other. The idea of this movie was, let's take all of the Universal monsters, with the exception of the Mummy, because he has his own franchise, and then just throw them in a movie and have them fight each other. And it's awesome. And as far as I know, it's the only movie that has, like, you know, besides maybe like Abbott and Costello, but it has, you know, the Wolfman, Dracula, Frankenstein monster, Igor, the Dracula brides, all in one movie. Like, it's got all of those monsters just slammed together. And they are mid to early 2000s versions of those characters. So Dracula has like a ponytail and earrings and stuff to make him look like a bad boy, but he looks just like a goofball, sort of.
So 90s, but held in stasis, probably 5 years too long.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like, everything has like a very early 2000s aesthetic. I mean, it stars Hugh Jackman as Van Helsing, and he's got the cool long hair. But the thing with this movie is that it's basically just a Castlevania movie. It's just, you have Gabriel Van Helsing, who is just the ultimate vampire slayer. He's also apparently an angel, which doesn't really have any bearance on the plot. It's just that, oh, I was alive during the fall of Rome. Okay, cool. I don't know why you threw that in the movie, but okay. But he's got all these cool gadgets. He's got like a super crossbow. He's got these cool little saw blades. And he just goes around and he just fights all these vampires and stuff. And then he gets to team up with the Frankenstein monster, who's got like a steampunk leg. Like, I was making fun of the designs before. I love the design of the Frankenstein monster in this. Like, he just looks cool. Like, he's got like steam that comes out. Like, he's kind of steampunk, but not really at the same time. I just think this is just a fun, dumb movie. And like I said, it was supposed to launch a franchise, and it did get a PS2 game, and it got an anime prequel. I know about the anime prequel because one day I was at Big Lots of all places, and I was like, oh, sweet, Van Helsing. It's only like $3 here. So I bought the DVD of Van Helsing, and then I came home and I put it in, and it was a cartoon, and I was like, what on earth? So I still have that DVD. Maybe I'll check it out and talk about it at some point if it's worth watching. I don't remember it being worth watching, but it's just funny that it existed. But here's my thing, is like, I don't see how you could ever make a sequel to this movie. And obviously they didn't make a sequel to it, but it's like, they used all of the monsters already. Like, the only Universal monsters they had left were like the Gill Man and the Mummy. And like I said, they weren't going to do anything with the Mummy. And I don't think you could make a Van Helsing movie about him fighting, you know, Dracula and his army of vampires, and then he's just going to go out in the swamp of like Louisiana and fight the Gill Man. Like, maybe it could have worked, who knows. But I think it's just totally fine as its own movie. And yes, this movie is dumb. This movie is cheesy. Like, I'm not even joking. The last scene of this movie is them mourning the death of a character who I won't spoil. And then they look up into the clouds and they see that person's face in the sunlight. It's like seriously something your aunt would post on Facebook. But like I said, it's dumb, but it's awesome.
You watch the streets, I'll watch the skies.
So yeah, I think it is the perfect dumb fun movie for October.
Speaking of dumb, no, actually not. So I kind of went through and watched a couple remakes of Nosferatu this past like month. Obviously the one from last year, which I'm not going to recommend, but for this month. But one that I would is Nosferatu the Vampire from 1979. This is a pretty faithful remake of the original movie, kinda. Like, it does have a twist at the end. They did decide to use all the names from the novel, because I think the novel had just come into the public domain by the time that they made it. So they're like, oh yeah, hell with it, let's just use those names. Unlike the 2024 movie, which uses the original ones for some reason. That was kind of a strange jump back, but yeah. Yeah, there's like really not too much to say about it, other than it's Nosferatu in color with sound. There is actually like two dialogue options for the film. You can listen to it in English, and then they also recorded the scenes in German.
Oh, cool.
Yep, because it was an Austrian film. So if you kind of want like another take on the original movie, or for some reason watching silent films bothers you, this one's a good one to check out.
Does it still have the stop motion scene of him getting in the coffin and driving away?
No.
Oh, that's too bad.
No, it doesn't. No. Well, Dracula in this case is I almost said Nosferatu. Or Count Orlok, I mean. Is played by Klaus Kinski. A very, very interesting character. Especially if you know spaghetti westerns, because he was in a crap ton of those. Mm. You know him as a Hunchback Shaggy, Rob, from A Fistful of Dollars.
Oh, okay.
No, For a Few Dollars More.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was in that. He was in Great Silence. I think a couple of the Sartana films. He was in a bunch of spaghetti westerns, but he also frequently collaborated with Werner Herzog, the Austrian director, who was the guy who directed this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And he is very infamous for getting into fights with people. like being just absolutely difficult on set. So much so that when Werner Herzog did like kind of a memoir film about his time working with Klaus Kinski, the cover art is just the actor playing Klaus Kinski strangling whoever they got to play Werner Herzog in the film. I think it's called like My Best Fiend or something.
I'll tell you what, man.
Like
when they used to put lead in everything, the world was a different place.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the, and I could be totally wrong here, I think there's I want to say it's made by Tim Burton. There's a Tim Burton movie about the making of the original Nosferatu.
Yeah, Shadow of the Vampire.
Shadow of the Vampire? Okay.
Yeah, with Willem Dafoe as Max Schreck / Count Orlok. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I do want to check that out.
I was going to ask if
I found out about that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Willem Dafoe played Count Orlok? When did he do that? It's like, oh, that's a really like meta way of doing it. I mean, Nicolas Cage kind of technically did when they did that Renfield movie. He looked more like Count Orlok than what most people think of Dracula.
Yeah, and then I don't know who played his... He's not called Count Orlok, but in the movie What We Do in the Shadows, there's a Count Orlok vampire. No clue who plays as him, because he's covered in makeup the whole time.
Yeah.
But he plays as Peter the vampire.
The one person that apparently Klaus Kinski did not fight with when they were filming Nosferatu the Vampire, the makeup artist. Which is very, very fortunate.
Yeah. That's funny.
It is. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I recommend checking it out. I don't know if it's available on streaming services, but I don't know. I picked it up on Blu-ray pretty cheap. It's probably on DVD too.
Probably on VHS as well, but...
Yeah. Did you have any other movies?
I have one other movie. So
Okay.
Technically it's
Same.
sort of two, but...
Alright.
This is kind of a out there one, but I just want to defend my case. And it's, I wanted to recommend the Doctor Strange movies. And mostly recommending the first one, because the first one is a much better movie. Which, it's funny, you look at the first Doctor Strange movie, it was kind of considered, like, just okay when it came out compared to the other Marvel movies. By today's standards, it's one of the better Marvel movies. The first movie came out around October. It didn't come out in October, it came out like a few days after Halloween. And because of that, I think I just kind of always associate it with Halloween. But also because of just like the themes of like the magic and the sorcery and stuff, and how Doctor Strange is always, you know, when he does the magic in that movie, it's always either glowing bright orange or bright green. And, you know, in my subconscious, I just kind of interpret those glowing lights as being Halloween lights. But I think that if you had to watch one MCU project for Halloween, you should probably watch Werewolf by Daylight or whatever it's called. But
Werewolf by Night.
Werewolf by Night, but we're not going to count that one because that's a short. That's not a full movie. It would be the first Doctor Strange movie. And I think it did have a lot of really cool, fun stuff. The dimension hopping. Did you ever see that one? The first one?
I saw the first one. I did not see the sequel.
Yeah, I think I told you not to watch the sequel, but I'm gonna
probably. But I mean, I also didn't see most of the movies, or like I never saw WandaVision, which I think connects to that. So.
It was supposed to, but it doesn't.
Oh,
the second movie. isn't good. But it's directed by Sam Raimi, and it has a lot of Evil Dead type scenes in it. That does like the POV camera, and it tries to do a bunch of little horror jump scares. Obviously, the movie's PG-13, so it never goes full Evil Dead, but it's got some fun kills. I think that's probably the most famous scene in the movie is when Wanda shows up and kills the Illuminati, which has one of the worst jokes in any Marvel movie, where he goes, "We're the Illuminati," and he goes, "The Illuma-whatty?" And it's like, bad joke. Bad joke.
I thought you were gonna say when Mr. Fantastic shows up, and it's Jim from The Office, but he's got a beard.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you knew this, but for a while in the comics, even before that movie had came out, they were drawing Mr. Fantastic to look like Jim from The Office.
Oh, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, well, it's because apparently it was like something that became big on Twitter.
Oh.
And then people were pushing for it.
Okay. Yeah, I never heard about that.
Yeah. But, yeah, so that one, it has some fun elements. I think the most fun part of the second movie is that one of the Doctor Stranges, because there's multiple in that movie, one of them dies, and at one point Doctor Strange can't get to the dimension that he needs to, but he figures out that he can control the dead body of the other Doctor Strange, so you get like a zombie Doctor Strange and he's being controlled, and I thought that was a fun, clever idea that you get to have him rise up as a zombie, and the zombie design looks cool, but...
So he does necromancy.
Yep.
Okay.
So it has some fun bits. Maybe you can watch the first movie and then just watch like the highlight reel on YouTube for the second movie.
Yeah.
Yep. That's all I have to say.
I have nothing else to say. I thought I would have something, but nope. All right, for my last movie, I'm going to recommend Invasion of the Body Snatchers, I guess the first adaptation of it from 1956, which I think you were thinking was directed by Roger Corman.
I thought it was, yeah.
No, it was actually directed by Don Siegel, the guy who would go on to direct Dirty Harry.
Okay. I recognized the name when you said it, but I didn't know.
Yeah. Which, that kind of blew my mind. Yeah. I forget what else he's done, but I think those two movies are the most notable of his. But anyway, I think the 70s film is a little bit more faithful to the original book, at least in tone and how it ends. Like, this one's a little bit more upbeat. It also changes the setting to a more rural setting. Like, it's not San Francisco, it's a smaller town. Still in California, but not like a big major city. And have we talked about this before, how we watched The Thing from Another World and we're kind of disappointed by it?
I don't know if we have talked about it, but...
Okay. So we've been fans of John Carpenter's remake of The Thing, or The Thing from Another World, just known as The Thing.
You would know this if you listen to the other Halloween podcast, because we bring it up, I think, every year.
Yeah, and neither of us had seen the 50s film, which is held in very, very high regard. Mm-hmm. Like, don't get me wrong, but I think Greg had, and Greg was like,
he's like, "Oh, this movie sucks," and I'm like, "Okay, well, now I know I'm gonna like the movie."
Then we watched it, and it was like,
like there were scenes that I liked.
yeah, there were parts of it that I liked, and then other parts of it that were head scratching. And then other things that were infuriating, like the frickin' overlapping dialogue. I don't know why people say that's a pro of that film. It's like, that pisses me off so much. Just have one damned conversation.
And what's interesting is after we watched the 50s one, I went and read the book, Who Goes There?
Yeah.
And the book is, I would say it's much more faithful to the 80s movie.
I think I've talked about that before, too, because I've recommended Who Goes There. And it's like, if the 50s movie is like 15%, John Carpenter's remake is like maybe 25.
Yeah.
Like, it's not 1-to-1, because obviously it changes the time period. Like, it's modern. Mm-hmm. And like, Who Goes There was like written in like the 30s, so even the 50s movie is not accurate to that either. But I mean, it's a little bit closer. But it's set in the Arctic. What the heck? But anyway, going back to Invasion of the Body Snatchers. So it's like I didn't really have high hopes for the 50s film, but I was actually surprised by it. I think I enjoyed it. Like, maybe not as much as the 70s one, but I think it's still a good movie.
How freaky is it compared to the 70s version? Because the 70s one is a freaky movie.
It still kind of has that. It's a lot more subtle about it, though, because obviously it's from the 50s. Like, I think there's maybe, like, one scene of, like, gore. Like, it's not as bad. And there is a part where it just kind of, like, tries to over-explain too much at one point.
Gotcha.
It's like, this could have been cut. I get what's going on. But then again, I've seen the movie from the 70s. You're explaining this to people from the 50s who haven't seen this movie yet. Don't know about the vegetable people. Oh yeah, there's vegetable people in this movie. And the 70s one.
So there's a vegetable person in the 1950s The Thing movie as well.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I think pissed Craig off. But anyway, yep, I recommend checking it out. It's... Like, I would say, like, I enjoyed the 70s movie more, but the 50s one is still very, very good. So yeah, that's really all I got to say about that.
Cool.
Poster's pretty cool, too.
All right, so we want to move into our next category?
Yeah.
Next category is TV shows / YouTube videos. We're just going to tie those together.
Do you have any shows? 'Cause
I do. I have one episode from a TV show.
Okay, maybe lead with that one.
Yeah, so I want to recommend the Monty Python sci-fi special. So, give you guys some context. This is, according to the Monty Python wiki, it's the 7th episode of Monty Python's Flying Circus, which was like the TV show they did before they did the movies. I don't know if that's true, because I felt like this episode was farther down in this series. But they did one like big sci-fi episode where, as opposed to having the episode just be a bunch of little unconnected skits, this episode is just one big story that's like kind of broken up into little skits, but it's still telling one big overarching story, and like one of the jokes that happens at the beginning plays into effect at the end. So it's basically Monty Python's take on all of the low budget 50s, 60s, 70s B movies, like British B movies at the time. And the thing is with Monty Python is a lot of times I show it to people and I'm like, isn't this funny? And people are like, this is a little too British for me. I feel like I'm not getting the jokes. This is 100% one of those episodes. There's probably jokes in this episode that I don't get. It's very European. The whole episode is making fun of Scottish people. There's a very important joke about the Wimbledon Cup and about a type of pastry that we don't have over here. But here's the thing. If you get all of that stuff, or at least you have somewhat of a good understanding of it, it's hilarious. And the premise of it is that these aliens are coming, and they're turning people into Scotsmen. And that's just the premise. And what I think is so funny about it is that, like, you know, they just keep doing the joke for, like, an excessive amount of time where it's like, we've done the research and no one is turning into a Scotsman. And then, poof, that person will turn into a Scotsman. And, like, they've got, like, the beard and the kilt. And whenever it happens, it starts blaring bagpipe music. And they do, like, this little, like, salute thing. And then, like, the footage gets sped up and they start, like, obviously what they did in real life was they just, like, walked very slowly. But they speed it up so it's like they're doing a bunch of little, like, fast steps. And they just all march over to Scotland. And all the scientists and everyone is trying to figure out what's going on. And it's hilarious. It's very campy and it's very British, but it's also hilarious.
Is it in color or is it in black and white?
It's in color.
Okay, I was going to say...
I think there's parts of it that are in black and white, but it's mostly in color.
Okay, I was going to say if they wanted to lean into, like, the 50s, maybe low-budget 60s, yeah, they would have gone... Like, I don't know, like, yeah, that just sounds... Like, the premise alone sounds kind of funny to me.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't make them Irish and then tried to do a loose adaptation of A Modest Proposal. Throw that in there. Yeah, that's pretty neat.
So the episode is called You're No Fun Anymore. That's the name of the episode. But the skit is called The Sci-Fi Special.
Alrighty.
Yep.
There's probably a joke in there somewhere that...
There probably is. Probably one that I'm not thinking of.
Or there's none at all and they just want to confuse us. Yep. For me, I don't really have any TV shows to recommend this year. Not that I ever really do. But I do have a couple, I guess, YouTube channels First one is a channel called John Learned. He does a lot of annotated playthroughs of video games. And one that he's done...
When you say annotated, do you mean like he has dialogue, or is there like just little like note cards that pop up on the bottom of the screen?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I think it's a mix of the two. Like he'll have like a voiceover while he's playing, and then he'll show pictures on screen. Because the one game that he's done, the only one that I'm interested in that he's covered, is Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Oh.
He's got like a 20-part series on it that I assume is very in-depth, because I think most of these parts are like an hour long or so. So like, 20 hours if you're playing through Symphony of the Night and you know what you're doing, that's kind of a stretch. But yeah, but I haven't actually checked those out. The things that I have watched of his are all of his YouTube shorts.
Oh, okay.
On Symphony of the Night, which frustratingly he doesn't have conveniently in a little playlist, but you can kind of tell what they are when you look at them. And they cover... It's kind of like the same idea. There might be like some reference that he kind of goes in depth on that a lot of these, like, I didn't even know about, or like some aspect of the game's mechanics, the characters. Cool. Yeah, it's very, very cool, and obviously I'd recommend it if you've played through the game before, because there's spoilers to the game in there. But it's very, very cool. Yeah, the only other games that he's covered, I think, that I can remember off the top of my head are Ninja Gaiden, I think, and then Street Fighter Third Strike for some reason. It's like, okay. Can't all be hits. But, yeah, his Symphony of the Night shorts, I would recommend. And then maybe one of you can be brave and check out the 20-part main annotated Symphony of the Night series, and then get back to me and tell me how it is. Or maybe I'll watch it or listen to it. I don't know. And I guess I'll kind of two-part mine, because this is basically the same thing. There's another channel that does, I think, mostly just the shorts, like the same idea, but he covers more than just Symphony of the Night. It's called Hey Frank Evans. He's done a lot of videos on harmony of dissonance, or a lot of shorts. And then he's done some videos on, like, challenges. Like, oh, can you beat Castlevania with only the knife? Like the original game. Stuff like that.
Can you?
I don't know.
Okay.
I haven't watched that video. I've just, like, same as John Learned. I've only watched his shorts. So yeah, I'll try to link to those channels below.
Alright, so I'm going to recommend a series on YouTube, and this is done by the channel Corridor Crew. And for those of you who don't know, Corridor Crew is an actual, like, video effects company, and I want to say they're in Los Angeles. They're somewhere in the Hollywood bubble. Like, they do special effects for real movies. But they also do, like, little YouTube videos. I think they were most popular early, like, I say early YouTube, but, like, 2013 YouTube, where they did, like, a lot of crazy videos where they would do, like, superhero or video game videos, but they'd have, like, costumes and a lot of special effects, and that's kind of what I think they got big. But they do a debunking series. Now, if you're familiar with people in America, one thing they love watching for some reason is those ghost hunting shows. This is kind of like the opposite of that, but it's still a really cool series to watch, and I thought they only had like 4 episodes, but now that I looked at this playlist, there's a whole bunch of videos. But the main ones they do is like ghost videos, UFO videos, and like other paranormal creature type videos. Like when people have footage that they think is like footage of a ghost or something, and they'll look through it and they'll explain why it's fake. And a lot of times the footage that they bring in, the people who have like sent it in, like 100% believe that it is footage of a ghost. But there's little glitches and stuff that happen with cameras that can cause things to look different. And it's cool because, you know, these guys are like experts in the field, and they're able to look at it and explain why something like this happens and what causes it. And they also just point out a lot of like little dumb things. Like there was one that was of like supposed to be of a haunted school, and it was supposed to be like security camera footage, and they're like, how come in the security camera footage you can see 3 other security cameras? Like you can see them on the wall. It's like, that's not how security cameras work. But what is cool is that sometimes they run into ones that they can't necessarily disprove. Like, specifically the UFO episode, they find one where they're like, okay, that wasn't a special effect, that wasn't a glitch, that was an actual unidentified object flying through the sky, and they actually go through and do a bunch of research to try to see if they can figure out what that object was. So it's a real fun show. It's educational, but it's not educational in like the boring way. It's educational in like, oh, that's cool, I didn't know that cameras do those things.
In the sort of useless but entertaining way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. Because I had heard the name Corridor Crew before, because either you had talked about them or maybe someone else on YouTube I've heard mention them before, but yeah.
They get mentioned a lot, especially if you watch like videos talking about movie breakdowns. A lot of times people will be like, oh, they explained on Corridor Crew how they did the Terminator 2 going through the bars effect. You know, they do a lot of other non-debunking videos where they just take movies and they break down how the special effects were made. So it's a pretty cool channel.
So was that it for
I have stuff? One other web series.
Oh, and yeah, that's
this
right.
one may be the most controversial of all.
Oh boy.
But it's the JonTron Halloween specials. Specifically, the good JonTron Halloween specials. I wrote down which ones were my favorites, and the first one is the Johnny Bash special, which is a old Apogee game. And then he has the Goosebumps episodes, then he has the Are You Afraid of the Dark episode. He has the Howling 2, Your Sister is a Werewolf. That one's pretty good.
That's the one with Christopher Lee.
Yeah, that's the one with Christopher Lee.
Okay.
And then he has one over the game Clock Tower. And
yeah.
JonTron is an interesting channel because, you know, it kind of went from very scrappy videos of him filming stuff with his friends, and then it kind of became like he had his own studio and stuff, and now his new videos, I don't really think they're that good. But I also don't think
covering games. That's the big thing for me that brought me in. Like,
here's the rule: if he doesn't have the bird, it's probably not going to be a fun episode. After Jacques the Parakeet passed away or whatever happened, and I feel like something was missing. But those early videos, like those scrappy, like put together by himself videos, I think those are really funny. Obviously, it's not everybody's type of humor because it's a very absurd humor, but I don't know. I just think JonTron is hilarious. Just his goofy accent and some of the stuff that he says is just nuts. So I love watching those videos around Halloween just because I just think they're funny. And
yeah, the way to describe him is kind of like angry video game nerd, but on crack.
Yeah.
And maybe PCP or LSD.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on the episode. Like, I'm surprised you didn't recommend the Pokemon bootleg episode.
That one's not technically a Halloween episode, but that's a fantastic episode.
Oh, good, the Clock Tower. And another thing, too, like, I don't know if you've gone back and looked. I know he took a lot of his older videos off of his channel, and you have to find, like, an archive channel.
Yeah, there's a channel called JonTron Archive that has all of his old videos, which I think his old videos are some of the funniest. Like, the
Sonic ones.
Yeah, the old Sonic ones, and like his top 10 videos I thought were funny as well.
Yeah,
they were very much products of their time. I should specify that as well. But like, I think he listed Doom 3 as being one of the scariest games of all time, and like, come on, man.
The heck?
Play more video games. That alone is why I think he stopped doing gaming content.
All right, that was a statement.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of games, that's next on my list. Is it on your list?
Yep, that's what's next on mine.
Okay, you got anything good?
I actually have a lot of good stuff, but
okay,
I'm going to skip the one that I think is good and go to the one that I also think is good, because, well, you'll see. But the game I want to recommend is Call of Cthulhu 2018. Now, some of you are saying, oh, Robbie, you're not allowed to say that. You recommended Call of Cthulhu last year. No. I recommended the manga last year. This is the video game. Very different.
Is it actually adapting the story, or is it like
no? Okay. It's its own story. So it tells its own story. It's obviously very Lovecraft inspired, and I guess that I feel like if you could squint, you could sort of make it fit in with the original story, but it doesn't follow any of the characters from the original story. But you play as a detective who's sent to this island to I said experiment, to investigate the disappearance of this guy's daughter. And you kind of go to this island and you find out things are going a little bit weird. And as you can probably imagine, it's because there's actually a Cthulhu cult. And...
No!
Yeah! And that maybe all those weird dreams you're having are building up to something.
Wasn't just the pot, man.
Nope. Oh yeah, this takes place during the Prohibition, but for some reason, every character is an alcoholic. Don't worry about it, it's the East Coast, whatever.
Right.
But here's the thing. When it comes to video games, I don't really play too many games that are story-based video games. You know, I'm much more into just fast action games. I mean, you could probably tell just by on the channel why we always talk about how great Doom is, and we get mad whenever Doom tries to have a story. And then we talk about how great Castlevania is. And then I say stuff like, oh, Halo 1 has one of the greatest stories in all video games, and that alone should terrify you. That's how low my standards are. So when I played this story-based game, again, this is much more like a interactive movie type game. Not to say that there isn't any actual gameplay involved, because there is, you know, some stealth sections and some puzzle sections. But what makes this game cool is that it's really just based around putting you in this, you know, 1920s environment, this dark, creepy Cthulhu world, and just letting you take in the atmosphere. And I think it's... I don't know, I just haven't played many games like that. I haven't played many games where walking down a staircase is exciting, but in this game it's like, oh, I gotta walk down this giant staircase to see what's on the bottom of this old hospital. I have no clue what's gonna be down here, but I'm excited to find out.
So, okay, like, I'm probably confusing this with one of the bazillion other Cthulhu games.
Mm-hmm.
So would you describe this kind of being like one of like those Telltale games?
It's not like a Telltale game, because the Telltale games are more like point-and-click type games. They're kind of similar to... I think there's aspects of it that are close to it, because there is some RPG elements. There's a lot of conversations that happen, and depending on how you talk to people, it impacts the rest of the game. But there's a lot of just being able to... Like, it's a first-person game where you can, you know, walk around and you get to use your torch and explore. Like... I have a hard time describing this game because I haven't really played any other games like it. From what I understand, it plays very similar to those Sherlock Holmes games from like 2013, 2014, 2015, if anybody remembers those. But I think it's worth playing. I think if you're someone who doesn't really play many video games because you're, quote, not good at video games, I think this is a easy one to try out. And, you know, it's just proof that you can make a game that has great atmosphere, great sound design, and that's all you need to have a fun, creepy experience. I should say, though, Cthulhu is not in the game very much. I think you only see him if you get the bad ending, which I think you always have the option to get the bad ending, and there's a checkpoint right before you get to that point, so even if you choose the good ending or one of the other endings, the game has 4 endings, you can always just go back and replay to do the bad ending so you can see Cthulhu. And it's like, yep, that's Cthulhu. And like I said, it's got all the environments that you'd want. You get to go through an old creepy mansion. You get to go through an old creepy museum. You get to go through a mental institution. You get to go through a hospital. You get to go through some caves. You get to go through a fishing town. You get to go through a whaling station, which... Does anyone know what whaling stations look like? Because I don't know if this game is accurate at all. But who knows? If anyone can point me in the direction of what a 1920s whaling station looked like, I'd like to know. But it's cool. At one point, I made a deal with the devil because I was bored, because I was stuck in prison. And that turned out to be a bad idea. So it's cool. And then, like I should say, it's got other Cthulhu mythos stuff in it. The Shambler is a very prominent creature in this, and his design is at least somewhat inspired by the Quake design, and since I love Quake, that had me excited. But yeah, I don't want to speak too much about this game because I think people should just go and check it out for themselves.
Yeah, especially since it's story-based.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take long to beat. I think I beat it in like 6 or 7 hours.
Oh, okay.
And that was after getting stuck on one level for way too long.
So I guess kind of on a similar note, I'm going to recommend a game that uses Lovecraftian horror, but isn't a Cthulhu mythos game as far as I'm aware. It's called Scald Against the Black Priory. It's a CRPG, kind of done in the style of the old Ultima games from like the late 80s, early 90s. A more contemporary example of what that kind of RPG is like is Baldur's Gate. So it's like a bird's eye view. You have like a tactical little battle map when you do fight. Yeah, this one's like set in like a medieval fantasy world. You're this guy that's being sent to find this lord's daughter on like some island out in the sea. Since this is like Lovecraft and such, I think it might be like maybe it's supposed to be Ireland or Sicily. I don't know. But yeah, but no, they all use like different like fake names for where you're going and stuff. So who knows what it is supposed to be? I assume the main land that you come from is like England, but yeah, it's a very pixelated game. It has a kind of an almost like MIDI soundtrack, I would say, but it is a very fantastic one. It has very good atmosphere. Like the graphical design is very, very good for what it is. And the combat, even though it's kind of complex and kind of hard to get a hold of at first, I think I enjoy it more than like a turn-based RPG, I'd say.
Okay.
So, yeah. So I haven't played it too much. I haven't beaten the game. So I don't know how long it is. I remember hearing that it was kind of short, but with regards to like a game of this type, like RPGs in general, like that is a very relative term. So for all I know, that could be like 12 hours.
There was an old meme that I used to love where it was like the type of gamer and the amount of time it takes to beat that type of game. And like at the bottom you have like Angry Birds, and then you have like Pong and Tetris, and as it keeps going it takes more and more time. And then like the last one was like RPGs, and it was like amount of time required. It's like years of your life, and it had like this picture of this dude who's like, the game doesn't even get good until the 3rd disc, but you would know that if you played the other 15 games of the series. And that always stuck with me.
Yeah. Fortunately, there's only one game in this series so far. Yeah. But one of the things that it does, so it's obviously emulating a game from like the 80s, 90s. It doesn't have any voice acting, so you got to do a lot of reading. But there's like a
Sometimes I like that, though.
Yeah. It's been a problem for me when I play it at night, because I kind of fall asleep while I'm reading it. It's like, oh, yeah. But, so there's like a choose-your-own-adventure aspect to it.
Okay.
And sometimes your options will have what are called like skill checks, which are like tested against your like your stats. And you do like a die roll, like it literally rolls 2 little dice, which I think the latest Baldur's Gate does. For some of your dialogue options there. So the storytelling aspect is very, very important to it, just as much as the gameplay, like the combat and such. And I don't know, I've been finding that very neat. It's something I appreciate about RPGs that actually try to do that.
Yeah. Because
like most RPGs these days are just like action games with like perks or like stats added on to them.
The way I separate good RPGs versus bad RPGs is that if you're playing an RPG, there should be at some point in the game where you say, man, I can't wait to replay this, but choose a different path, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that should always be something that you think about when you play an RPG game.
And even
most RPGs, you don't get to that point.
And even in the case of this one, you get to choose a class, you get to choose a background for your character. So there are other options that way too. And I assume your dialogue options will actually change things throughout the story, cool, for the most part. Maybe it just changes the dialogue in some cases, but I don't know. Like, I know in the intro you can antagonize a guy or like a group on accident, and it leads to a fight when sometimes you can get your way out of it. But I think that might be skill dependent or stat dependent. I'd recommend it pretty highly. It's pretty cheap too.
Cool. What is it available on? Is it on...
It's only on Steam, as far as I know.
Steam?
It might be on Good Old Games, but I don't think it's on any consoles because of the type of game it is.
Gotcha.
Like, it uses a lot of buttons on the keyboard. Don't let that dissuade you, though.
Mm-hmm. Alright, the next game I want to recommend... I gotta tell you, before I recommend this, I told Connor, I was like, man, I love this game so much, I can't wait to recommend it. And Connor looked at me and said, like, are we talking about the same game? And that game is Killing Time. So, Killing Time, it's a game that got re-released by Night Dive last year, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
So this is actually kind of an interesting story. So there's two versions of this game. There's the 3DO version and the PC version. And if you get the Night Dive re-release, you're going to be playing the PC version, but with the sprites from the 3DO version.
Those are actually an option for you to turn on. You can turn on the original PC sprites if you want to laugh.
Yeah, I would recommend the 3DO sprites.
Yeah, and not all the enemies were in the 3DO version, so they do have to go make with the PC sprites for them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
But the way to describe this game is like, it's if you took Doom and tried to make it into a Metroidvania, but then you had it directed by Wes Anderson. Like, it's a very quirky and goofy and fancy game. The premise of it, I guess I should get to that, is that I think you're another investigator or something, but you go to this...
You're like an Egyptologist.
Yeah, some college dude. You go to this island where there's this giant mansion, and then you show up there, and it turns out it's haunted. And the thing that I love the most about this game is that it's filled with these FMV animations, and if you don't know what that is, those are like live-action cutscenes.
It's like what... Yeah, like video cutscenes were back in the day.
Yeah. So
full motion video.
You're on this island and you keep having... Sometimes the ghost will come out and talk to you, but sometimes it'll just be replaying something, and you get there and you meet the spirit of the heiress of this island, whose name was...
Tess Conway.
Yeah, Tess Conway, that's right. And she has done some weird Egypt magic stuff and has cursed everybody, and you've got to help her get all the pieces of a puzzle or some... I beat this game like a few weeks ago.
Piece of a water clock.
Yeah, of a water clock.
Or no, is it her body parts? It's kind of... That's like
it's her body parts.
That's
she
right.
puts... Yeah, it's crazy. You just have to play the game. But you have to get these MacGuffins and bring them together to free her. But as you play the game, you get to keep seeing all these little things, and there's this huge story that kind of unravels. And it's... You know, by today's standards, it's not the world's most amazing story. But I think for like the 90s, it was pretty endearing. Like, as an actual story with characters and plot twists and stuff, it's way better than Half-Life. And Half-Life is often regarded as the first video game with a cool story that wasn't like an RPG. And I found myself having a blast. I think that the gameplay isn't amazing, but it's still interesting enough, and the environments and the music are... Like, it's all good with a little bit of an asterisk. Like, there's like definitely a quirk to it, but the game is also like trying to be comedic. There's a lot of jokes. Not all the jokes land, but I think my favorite joke is that when you first get there, the ghost of the butler explains to you like the layout of the mansion, and he says, "Oh, this is the smoker's lounge over here." And then when you go to the smoker's lounge, you go inside there, and the whole place is on fire, and there's a bunch of skeletons smoking cigarettes. That's just funny.
And evil fart clouds.
Yeah, there are. You have to fight evil fart clouds. You have to fight evil poo monsters. It's just goofy 90s fun. And, you know, I think it has some bits that are scary enough, and I think there's some parts that are just more childish and funny, but that's what I like about the game.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of the interesting thing about the PC version. So the 3DO version is kind of like a Wolfenstein clone in a lot of ways. It's linear. It's like a set of maps you play. But the PC version, it uses a modified Doom Jaguar Doom engine, which does some room-over-room trickery and stuff like that. So some pretty complex stuff for what it is. Honestly, I think they should have waited and put it on the build engine. But,
yeah.
I don't know. Like, it was pretty ambitious. And, like, the atmosphere is good at times, like, with the soundtrack and, like, just the environments. So, I don't know. Like, maybe it could have spent another year or so in the oven.
Yeah.
And it would have been something much better. Something more fondly remembered. But, honestly, like, it's one of the few examples of games that I think would do well for a remake.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not something that would be in, like, high demand or cost, like, a lot of money to get the license to.
Yeah.
So...
I should point out, too, that with the re-release, the Night Dive re-release, it has a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff, where you get to see some of, like, the photos that they took for like the sprites and the cutscenes and stuff, which I thought was pretty cool as well. So it's
it's kind of like the recent Doom. And
I'm hoping the Blood re-release, Blood Refresh Supply, has a bunch of cut content.
Yeah, like an
archive as well.
Yeah.
But I gotta ask you, do you have a favorite character from the game? Like out of all of the live action people that were in it?
German Charlie Cox.
Little German guy. Yeah, I liked him too.
He was kind of amusing. Yeah. I don't know. Just going back to the 3DO game, I just wonder how they... Like, I assume there was more of an order to those little things showing up.
Mm-hmm.
Because here you kind of find them all over the grounds.
Yeah.
And, like, very clearly they didn't happen in the location that you're in, but they just kind of put them there for convenience.
The other thing I should say is that this game doesn't have a lot of online tutorials. There's some stuff you can find, but there is a bit of just running around until you find something.
Yeah. And it can be kind of, I don't know, monotonous at times.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. That's what I don't like about it, because I played through it on hard, and it was just like, just too many enemies.
Yeah, I played through it on medium just because I wanted to get it through quick, and I was afraid of getting lost for 5 hours, because if you've watched any of our Doom streams, there's usually one person who's fighting a lot of monsters named Connor, and then there's one person who's still at, like, the other side of the map running around in circles, and that's me. But, like I said, Killing Time, it's a great time. I mean, the name itself, Killing Time, it's funny because it's talking about killing time because you're killing time while playing a video game. But it's also saying killing time because it's time to kill zombies because you kill zombies in the game. But also the game is about time because time's been frozen.
You gotta try to destroy a big old water clock or whatever. Whatever the heck that actually is.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll start with this one. So, for once, I want to recommend a game that's actually new this year. Scald is relatively new, and I guess Killing Time, the remaster, came from last year too. But this game's called Labyrinth of the Demon King. How would I describe this game? So a lot of people would probably consider it a kind of like aesthetically inspired by like Silent Hill, with like gameplay of like Condemned Criminal Origins mixed with Dark Souls.
There you go. It's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot. Actually, like I think the game's supposed to emulate an older series from Software called Kingsfield, but I've never played any of those. So, and I assume most people haven't either, because I don't think there's been an entry in that series for like 15 years. So yeah, just say Dark Souls. It's easier. But anyway, you play as this this guy. He's an Ashigaru, which was like an old peasant, like soldier, when they needed, back in the old days in Japan, when they needed to supplement their samurai armies.
So it was like an army reserve, kind of?
I guess so. Or more like you got pressed into it or something. And you're basically going into this giant, like, mansion to hunt down this demon king whose, like, armies killed your lord. So you gotta go avenge him or something. And when I say this game's kind of designed after, like, Silent Hill, I mean it. There is a dinge to this game that they just absolutely nailed. Dinge. Like, you look at this game and you feel like you need a tetanus shot. That's how dingy it is. And the soundscape too. Like, it's probably inspired by the Silent Hill soundtracks, but it's more of like a soundscape. I wouldn't even call it a soundtrack. It's just, oh my gosh. It's like it's part of the reason why I don't really want to play the game. Is the noises.
If that hasn't sold you yet, I don't know what will.
Yeah, I'll tell you what'll sell you. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, the gameplay is pretty good. It's played first person. It's melee mostly. You can find like a bow and arrow eventually, and I found some musket balls, so I can assume you can get an old what are they called? Tanegashima, like an old Japanese matchlock arquebus at some point. But I haven't found it yet, so I don't know for sure. Just kind of stupid you find it that early. The ammo for it early on. But yeah, it's a very, like, you'll hear comments on the online that the gameplay, like the combat's very, very finicky. you got to take your time to learn it. Like, dying isn't really that much of a setback. It'll actually take you back to your last save point, and you'll have the items that you picked up to that point. You'll just not be in the same spot, which will kind of be the most frustrating part, especially if you're trying to explore. Yeah, but I don't know. It's the kind of game, at least for me, kind of like tears off your nutsack and like plays hacky sack with it in front of you.
Oh, jeez.
And you're kind of sitting there on the floor. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna get you, game, someday. I'm getting back up. Give me my nuts back. Let me sew them back on.
Yeah.
I want to try again. Yeah. And my favorite part about it too, so far, there's this enemy. It's like a cross between Mr. X and the ghosts from Silent Hill 4. I think he's called a Nuri Bodoke. It's like this big old like ogre guy, like all black. He's got these dangling eyeballs.
Oh, jeez.
He comes out of like one of those little Buddhist shrines because you defile it early on. Oops, spoilers. But you probably see that coming if you play the game. But like, yeah, and he like kind of follows you around. He like phases through the floor if you go to a different floor, and you can't kill him. But apparently you can knock him down. I just haven't tried yet. I just mostly get him to attack the other enemies for me, because he will beat them up. Actually, all the enemies will infight like surprisingly easily. That's another fortunate part too. Yeah.
Cool. Would you say it's more Silent Hill than the Silent Hill 2 remake that came out last year?
Probably not, because it's even more combat heavy than that.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, it's probably more akin to the first game.
Gotcha.
Because it's emulating like a PlayStation 2, like an old 32-bit 3D game.
Okay.
Which makes it very, very freaky looking.
I've always said that games with bad graphics are scarier than games with good graphics, and maybe I could be proved wrong at some point, but I think that when you have that pixelated type graphics, your body kind of fills in a lot of spots that aren't actually there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's available on basically everything except I think Switch 2. Not that I know anyone that owns one of those.
Nope.
They're going to be coming out with a New Game Plus mode for it for free, like this coming month, October. Which is pretty cool, but because I hear the game's actually fairly short, like 7 or 8 hours. But obviously your mileage may vary, especially if you're trying to learn how to fight and not having success with it. But I don't know. Like, I don't know. My advice, just stick with it. When you get options to upgrade stamina or health, upgrade stamina. It's way more useful. Especially with how forgiving dying is. And just don't get frustrated with it and you'll be good.
Alright. I have one more game I want to recommend. Now, this isn't a game. This is only a level from a game. And this is going to be another one where people are going to be like, Robbie, what are you talking about? Just hear me out, okay? Lego Star Wars 2, the original trilogy, the Yoda Swamp level. Now, is this really that scary of a level? Yes, it is. At least compared to the other levels in that game. Look, Lego Star Wars 2, it was the best Lego Star Wars game. It might have been the best Lego game, period. I know everybody loves the Complete Saga. Well, guess what? Complete Saga isn't as good as the original 2 games. But they had this level that was, you know, you play as Luke on Dagobah, and it's a level where you meet Yoda and stuff. And obviously they take a lot of creative liberties. But, I don't know, I just always found as a kid, like, it had a really cool environment. I mean, Dagobah itself is kind of a creepy planet, but, like, they really kind of leaned into that. And what I liked about it was that because there wasn't any, like, stormtroopers or anything on that planet, you fight, like, bats and, like, giant snakes and stuff. And I just always thought that was cool and different. And I remember there was a lot of little fun areas to explore, and I know some people hate this level because at one point you have, when you get Yoda, you have to get him to like ride your back, and you have to use him to use the Force, and it can be a bit tedious, but you can just play it on free play. And also, it also gave us the famous Yoda's tractor, where you have to build a tractor and plant his carrots or something. I don't quite remember.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's been a while. I actually played through Lego Star Wars 1 and 2 a few years ago when they were doing the remake, but I didn't finish the remake because it wasn't good. But that original level, I thought it was fun, and I don't know what song it uses. I assume it's some song from episode 5, but it had like really creepy music.
Yeah, like I remember the music where R2's getting taken in by like that serpent or whatever.
Yeah.
Or like that giant eel thing.
It sounds like horror movie music. Yeah. Like and you get to fight Darth Vader on the level, which is also a plus.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a real Darth Vader, but you know.
It's Ghost Vader or whatever. Force Ghost. Well, not even a Force Ghost. I don't know
Force
what the
Vision,
hell.
I think.
Yeah, what the hell, Yoda?
Yep.
There's a joke about that scene from the Family Guy parody of that movie. I forget what it is, but it was very on point.
I always wondered what would happen if other Star Wars characters went into that pit. Like, at some point, Yoda must have found it, right? There's probably some book or comic that explains that Yoda went down there and he was like, huh? This is just a DVD of Star Wars Episode 8. This is terrifying.
Alrighty.
Alright, but that's all I have for video games.
Okay. I got 2 more. I already kind of mentioned them, so I'll be short and sweet with these. So, the original Silent Hill 2, they're making a remake of it. I don't know when that's coming out.
They already made the remake of Silent Hill 2.
We're not talking about Shattered Memories.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about the one from Bloober Team. You guys who did the Silent Hill 2 remake?
Yeah, you said Silent Hill 2. You didn't say Silent Hill 1.
I did? Damn it. Okay, well, I meant Silent Hill 1.
Okay.
They're remaking it. So, people should go out and play the original game. Any way you can. Yeah, it's still kind of frustrating. They haven't done any new ports of it recently. So
the latest port was the Xbox 360 one, right?
No, that didn't have Silent Hill 1 on it. It just had 2 and 3. That HD collection?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just had 2 and 3.
Okay.
It's kind of lame, but... So yeah, like, the only legitimate way to play it is hunting down a PlayStation 1 copy.
Which will set you back quite a few dollars.
Yeah, a couple $100. But, I don't know, maybe you'll get lucky at, like, a garage sale or something.
There used to be a lot of websites where you could download these things called ROMs, but I feel like all the ones I used to go to don't exist anymore, so I can't point you in that direction. Not that pirating is good, it's just the only option sometimes.
Yeah, I couldn't either. Like, I couldn't recommend anything there either, but I don't know. Silent Hill 1's kind of unique among those games in that it was the only one made on the original PlayStation. It has that blocky 32-bit look to it. It doesn't run very well on the PlayStation 1, which actually adds to the horror, surprisingly, because you got like a flipbook frame rate at times, and it's just like, oh yeah. But I don't know. That was probably... No, it wasn't the first Silent Hill game to give me weird dreams. That was Silent Hill 4. But yeah, it gave me weird dreams, kind of similarly to Quake, which I think I was playing through around the same time.
Yeah. And everybody probably knows this, but I still think it's interesting, so I want to bring it up. The fog that Silent Hill is famous for was only added in the game to make it run faster, because they didn't want to render everything on screen at once, so they just added a very thick fog.
And then it became just a
staple.
Yeah, staple of the series. Yeah. I don't know. And another thing, too, and I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, one of the things I like about Silent Hill 1 is it has one of the protagonists, like probably the only protagonist in the series that's like purely heroic.
Okay, cool.
I don't mean to kill the vibe for people, because, you know, a lot of people are looking for the psychological aspect of the game. It's a psychological horror game. But, I don't know. There's someone else's psyche that's getting analyzed there. Let's just put it that way. And you find out who it is, if you're paying attention. It might be my favorite game in the series, too.
Okay, I was going to ask you that. Because I know a lot of people put a Silent Hill 2 as the top dog, and I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I mean, 2 might be the best game in the series, but I really like 1.
Gotcha.
Like, there are things I like about the first 4, because they each do different things well. But 1's probably my favorite. And it's also the one I think I played the most. I've beaten it at least 4 times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The others at least once, maybe once and a half. Of the ones that I own, that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, just any way you can play it, do it. Oh, and then the other game, Condemned Criminal Origins. It is a crime and a travesty that I have not recommended this game in past years. Like, I'm surprised. Because it is probably one of my favorite horror games. Probably probably more of an action horror game than survival horror, as some people categorize it. But it's got a very, very rewarding combat system that's like almost strictly melee.
And I could be wrong because I haven't played enough of this game to really talk about it, but this game is fairly grounded in reality, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's kinda. So it's very largely influenced by films like Seven and Silence of the Lambs, so kind of more of your like thriller, like crime thriller type things, but it does have a bit of a psychological aspect to it. Like, a lot of people attribute that more to the sequel than they do the first game, but no, it's there. Like, there's something weird going on, and your character doesn't quite...
This is another game that has, like, a great atmosphere, and it's got...
Yeah.
Got a really great mid to late 2000s, just grungy edge aesthetic. Like,
it's got the dinge, Rob.
Dinge, that's the best word to describe
it. Brought it to the 360 era, because this was actually a launch title on the Xbox 360, surprisingly. I keep forgetting that, because I've only really played it on PC. Yeah, I don't know. It's clunky and kind of, like, outdated looking by today's standards, but it's a very fun game. It's very raw, and, like, I mean, this game's the frickin' male fantasy, Rob. It is. You encounter crackheads and other frickin' wackos, hobos, find pipes and shit to beat their asses, firearms too on occasion. You're working for the FBI, you're gonna solve that case, you're gonna catch that serial killer. Oh wait, you're getting framed for the murder of your cop buddies. So you're on the lam. To hell with those feds. You're gonna solve this mystery on your own.
Or else you'll lose your badge.
And your mind. It's perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, 10 out of 10. Oh yeah, but make sure you watch it, look into a guide if you're trying to play it on PC, because there are some weird, like, graphical issues that you got to figure out, like with the engine.
That's kind of how it is with games of that era.
Yeah, I think Fear has a similar case, because it was made by it was made by Monolith, people who made Blood, or developed Blood. And it's on the same engine as Condemned, so you gotta dick around with the settings. Like, I remember having to do that, and it was actually pretty easy. You just have to know what to do.
Gotcha. Was it Knights of the Old Republic? The first one is like that too. And from what I've heard, it's only like that if you play it off Steam, but that's what I've played it off of, and there's just weird graphical glitches that happen where it's like, I know this game's from like 2004, but I still need to turn the graphics down, because if I turn the graphics to high, everybody's face is covered in grass for some reason. Yeah, weird stuff.
Messed up. That reminds me of a Silent Hill 2 Ubisoft edition, aka trying to play the Xbox version, the original Xbox version on Xbox 360. We got to do that sometime just for shiggles.
Okay.
Because it loads in textures incorrectly. The flashlight shines through both sides of you, and I think it alerts enemies.
Awesome.
There's some, like, issues with the FMV cutscenes.
I love it when someone takes a classic and considered very important video game, and then they're just like, hey, just release it on the new port. Who cares if it doesn't work? No one's going to notice that the textures are different or that the game doesn't work.
It worked fine on the Xbox as far as I know. It's just a weird graphical, like, issue, like a emulation issue with a 360. Like, Silent Hill 4 has little issues too when you play the OG Xbox version on that, but they're not as bad as that.
Yeah.
Still kind of noticeable.
I think the weirdest glitch I've seen, this is again another Star Wars game, if you take the Star Wars Clone Wars game, this was the 2002 one that came out with Attack of the Clones. If you try to play that on Xbox 360, when you go to do split screen, it just shows player one's screen twice. I've never seen this glitch before, but you can't do split screen on it, because it, like, and the other person is still playing, like, their character is still on the map, and you can still move and shoot it around, you just don't get to watch where you're going, unless the enemy happens to see you.
That's innovative. That means it's like it's a second-person shooter.
Oh, there we go. The first second-person shooter.
You just got to make sure your camera's pointed at them.
Yeah, you just make sure that the first player is looking at second player. Video games are terrible. Why are we talking about this?
I don't know. Well, I'm basically at the end of my list. Oh, did you want to talk about Cthulhu Wars? Do you want to recommend a $200 board game? I just shat all over it. Damn it.
I feel a little bit more comfortable recommending it before we talk about the price tag, but
Okay.
it's Cthulhu Wars. It's awesome. It's made by Sandy Peterson. It's fun to play. Like, I'm trying to think of the best way to describe this. I always describe it as it being like Risk, but I feel like Risk it still isn't totally the best way to describe it. It's much more fast-paced than Risk. It can still take a long time, but
yeah, it's very objective. It's kind of objective based too, and you got a point system. It's not like just strictly trying to take over the whole dang map because that would take all day. But yeah, like as far as having like an area control type map, that's like the only similarity it has. Because all the factions have asymmetry to them, like all the different powers. You start in specific spots. It's not as randomized as Risk in that regard.
And the different whatever faction you play as, you get different troops and different abilities.
Yeah, that's the asymmetry I was talking about. Yeah. So that's one of the frustrating things about the game. It's not necessarily, the asymmetry of your faction, because you have your little card in front of you. It's remembering all the powers and like abilities that your opponents have.
And I'm sure it gets even crazier when you start throwing in the expansion packs and stuff, which I don't have any of the expansion packs.
Yeah.
I probably will buy one or two of them just because some of them you can get for cheap with quotation marks.
Yeah. Just do some research on that. Like, find something that like adds a lot of quality to what you have already.
Yeah.
Because I find those kind of expansions are like usually the most well-regarded and the most fun.
What I do think is cool is that the base game, the instruction manual, has the instructions for all of the expansions as well.
Yeah, it's basically like a catalog almost. Yeah.
So you can look through it and you can see if there's any new factions, like which one you think would be more fun to play as and which one to get.
Yeah.
But, like I said, this game is expensive, so the best way to play it is to have a friend who has it. But there is a online web-based version of it you can play if you want. Obviously, it's not the same as playing the actual board game, and I'm sure there's a way you can play it on Tabletop Simulator. I'm sure somebody's made a Cthulhu Wars game mode, but I don't have Tabletop Simulator, so I haven't really checked it out. But those are both probably two cheaper alternatives. But, obviously we love Lovecraft over here, and I really like the miniatures. I think that I say miniatures, some of these pieces are pretty big.
Yeah.
But I think it's fun. I love it.
Yeah, but yeah, like the price. I joke about the price tag. It's worth what it is for what you get, but it is it's still expensive.
Yeah, you would think that they would want to do a cheaper release of the game where maybe it doesn't use as cool of miniatures and stuff. But at the same time, I think it's one of those things where the price is kind of part of the experience.
And at this point, they would have to go back and redo all the other expansions and stuff just for compatibility's sake. I don't know. Do a standee version, but or a wooden pieces version. Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, just have a friend that decides to buy it because you bought pretty much every other board game, so he needs to pull his own weight.
All right, do you want to do books or do you want to do music now?
Let's do books. This is pretty much the order we normally do.
Okay.
So yeah, books and short stories. I guess I'll start off real quick. Since I recommended the movies that they're based on, or that's based on them, Pose, Mask of the Red Death, and then Hop Frog, and Fall of House of Usher. I would probably recommend reading them in that order. Fall of the House of Usher was a lot more verbose than I was expecting, because I read it for the first time this past month, because I wanted to read it before I watched the movie, because I had read Mask of the Red Death before, and Hop Frog, before I saw the film, so it's I was already ready to go there. I just had to watch the movie, but I had to do a little homework before I watched the movie for that. But I don't know. I found the former two to be easier to read, or just quicker to read. But I don't know. Check them all out. They're online. There's probably audiobook versions of them.
They probably come in most collections of Poe.
Yeah, I would assume, because you can get complete works of his pretty easily, or at least complete short stories and poems pretty easily. Yeah. Yeah, but we've never recommended any Poe before, which is really surprising. Because honestly, I haven't read a lot of Poe.
Yeah.
We read a bit in high school. That's about it. Friggin' Cask of Amontillado and Raven, the ones that... Telltale Heart, the ones that people always talk about. It's like, I'm not feeling like being an edgelord. Okay, maybe a little bit since I recommended Hot Frog, but...
I always had a thing against Poe, and I didn't remember what it was, but now that...
He married his cousin?
No, this is what it was that when I was in high school, there was a rumor going around that they were going to make an Edgar Allan Poe movie.
They did?
That was directed by Tim Burton.
Oh.
And it was going to star Johnny Depp as Edgar Allan Poe.
Oh.
This movie did not come out, thank goodness, as far as I know.
So I remember there was a movie called The Raven.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it came out around that time, maybe? I forget.
I'm sure there's been some Poe movies that have come out since I was in high school. But
yeah, basically the idea of that one was that it was like... Someone was like copying like some of the like stories, like murders from Edgar Allan Poe's like works. So like the police hire him to hunt down the serial killer.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, but I forget who they got to play Poe. It wasn't Johnny Depp, I don't think.
Yeah.
It was someone maybe lesser known.
Gotcha.
Probably. But yeah, I never saw that.
Yeah. Basically, I had a bunch of friends that were all excited for this. And like, oh, dude, it's going to be so cool. Edgar Allan Poe is so emo. Yeah, it's 2013. And I was like, I want to distance myself from this. But you know what? Since that movie didn't come out, maybe I will check out some Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah.
But something I want to recommend is an all-time classic, much like Edgar Allan Poe. And that's Bram Stoker's Dracula, the book. Specifically, the audiobook by Sir Christopher Lee.
Ooh.
So, as you know, Sir Christopher Lee played as Dracula. Played as a lot of other people as well. Has a very cool voice, and I've just found out that he did a whole bunch of audiobooks of those classic, horror stories from back in the day. And obviously Dracula is the most well-known one, and it's super cool to be able to listen to the story of Dracula, and when Dracula speaks, it's Count Dracula. That being said, I will say that this audiobook is a little expensive. It's like $15, I want to say. Maybe it's only $12. It's like $12 or $15 on the Apple bookstore. Which, for an audiobook, isn't that expensive. But for a public domain audiobook, that's pretty pricey. Because I think you can get other versions of the audiobook for literally free. But, again, you're not going to get Christopher Lee doing it. And here's the thing that's cool about it. Like, Christopher Lee... he plays as all the characters. So as far as I know, this is the only time that Christopher Lee played as both Dracula, Renfield, Jonathan Harker, and Van Helsing all in one project. And what's funny is that when he plays, the voice that he does for Van Helsing is like the classic Romanian Dracula voice. Like he does like the goofy, the Count from Sesame Street accent.
That's his idea of a Dutch accent?
Yep. And it's like, I just think it's cool because it's just like, oh, this is what it would have sounded like if Christopher Lee went in and tried to imitate Bela Lugosi. And the one thing I will say that's a little disappointing is that if you've read the book Dracula, you know that it's kind of a collection of like newspaper clippings and journal entries and stuff. Mostly journal entries and like letters. So Dracula doesn't have a whole lot of speaking lines. He has a bunch in like the first half of the book, but throughout the rest of it, it's more just people talking about Dracula. So you don't get to hear the Dracula voice a ton, but the first chapter, which is all about when what's-his-face goes out to visit Dracula's castle, and
Jonathan Harker.
Yeah, Jonathan Harker, and he's talking to Dracula and all the creepy stuff's happening. And first of all, the story still holds up. Like, it's still creepy and it's still fun, and it's a good time. And like I said, it's Dracula. It's a classic story with a beautiful voice. That's right, I said Christopher Lee's voice is beautiful. And it's just a good time. The one thing I will say is that the book is abridged, and I think it's heavily abridged. The whole thing, I want to say, is like less than 4 hours long, so you can easily knock it out on a road trip. Like I said, that may be a turnoff for some people, but
yeah.
It works for what it is.
I was going to ask, are the characters of Dr. John Seward, Quincy Morris, and Lord Arthur Holmwood in the that version of it at all?
Yep.
Oh, all three of them?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, neat. That's cool.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the film adaptations cut those characters. You know, Nosferatu, the 30s Dracula movie.
I will say Christopher Lee doesn't do a great cowboy accent, but, you know, that's fine. They can't all be gems.
That's funny. He tries to do a Texas accent.
Yep.
Okay. Bought and sold. Or sold and bought or something.
But, yeah, it's awesome. I've already listened to it all the way through. I'm probably going to listen to it through again before the month's over. So, yeah, I give it a 9 out of 10.
Nice. Alrighty. So, yeah, I recommend checking out the book, too, because it's probably very easy to get. Being public domain, there are cheap copies of it readily available. And nicer copies, too, if you want a nicer copy. But the book I'm going to recommend is also in the public domain. Also a very, very early example of vampire fiction. Actually, I think it predates Dracula by at least a decade. And that is the novella Carmilla by Joseph Sheridan Le Fanu. It's... How would I describe it? It's very short. I mean, it's just a novella.
I could be wrong here. I'll let you correct me. But wasn't Carmilla originally like a bunch of like it was like a newspaper story? Like every week or every month they would like post another chapter.
Yeah, it was like a new
it,
chapter. Yeah. It was like released in, I don't think serial is the right word, but yeah, it was released like in chapters, but it eventually got compiled into one book and sold that way. But yeah, so like basically the idea is this girl's living with her father in this castle in... I think it's in Austria. Forget. Or that's where Carmilla's from Styria. More specifically, so the Castlevania anime didn't bullshit about everything. But anyway. And they... Man, it's been forever since I've read this, but I don't know. Like, I remember it being pretty good. Like a very...
If you're not familiar, it's about Carmilla the vampire. So
right.
It's a vampire story.
Yeah, they encounter her... Like, she starts living with them because, like there's, like, a carriage accident or something. They take her in for a while. Yeah, it turns out she's a vampire. Or they don't really know what a vampire is.
How much of the vampire current pop culture mythos is incorporated in the story? Because obviously Dracula was the one that made a lot of those tropes big. But, like, does she have the fangs? Does she still drink blood? Does she turn into a bat at all?
She actually doesn't turn into a bat. She turns into a... I think it's described as being like a cat.
Oh.
Like a black cat, a giant one.
Okay, but she still has the animal transformation power.
Yeah. And I don't think she's described as having fangs either.
Okay.
Or maybe... But yeah, like I said, it's been a while since I've read it. I do remember it being pretty... or good. Maybe not as good as Dracula. But then again, that I haven't read in a long time either. But this one's a little bit more straightforward than Dracula. It's told in chronological order, just basically from one perspective. So it's a bit easier to read. So maybe start with that one if you're thinking about reading Dracula 2. Just like go with that. Like kind of lead into it. So yeah.
Yeah.
I hate to undercut it by like not being able to talk about it, but I don't know.
That's how it is with some things. You just kind of have to experience it for yourself, and discussing it doesn't help. So you have any other stories?
No. Did you have any comics or manga?
Sadly, I don't. I've been kind of slack when it comes to comic books this year because I read a lot of Fantastic Four comics and I kind of got burnt out on those.
Yeah, I kind of got burnt out too.
I've been meaning to check out The Walking Dead and I've been meaning to check out Hellboy. Someday I will, but if I like them, then they'll get recommended later. And if I never talk about them, it's because I either never read them or I did read them and I didn't like them.
Yeah. I wanted to check out Tomb of Dracula because they recently reprinted the omnibus for that.
Oh.
But it was $100 and it's like, I don't have that kind of money right now. I need
the
to
other
save some money.
I feel bad. I'm just recommending comics that I haven't read. Another one is they did, I think this came out last year, they did a Marvel Epic collection for the original Dark Horse Aliens comics. Which, I don't know if you guys know about those, but a lot of the big alien mythos comes from the Dark Horse comics. And they're pretty well regarded. So, at some point, I plan on checking those out as well.
Okay. I guess the one thing I will recommend is a Junji Ito collection called Love Sickness from a couple years back. I haven't read anything more recent of his. I've been kind of falling behind, like, very severely with the latest Junji Ito releases or re-releases of old stuff. But this is... I don't think I've recommended this one before.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Yeah, basically the idea, like, the gist of the story is that there's this town in Japan. There's this ghost that appears, kind of looks like a K-pop singer, or K-pop idol, a male one. And, like, people will ask, like, if their, I don't know, their, like, crush will, like, accept them or something. And, you know, the ghost will usually tell them no.
That's how it goes. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Sorry, girls.
And, basically, it's about one guy's encounter, like a kid. Kid's, like, encounter with the ghost and, like, how he's possibly affiliated with it. So, yeah. It's a multi-part story. I would call it maybe like a graphic novella. So most of the collection is taken up by that. There are some other stories in it that aren't that good. There's one that's literally called Memories of Real Poop.
Oh.
Which is about, I guess it's autobiographical, or like Junji Ito saw like a fake turd at like a fair once. He was like very intrigued by it, so he bought it.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I had a similar experience this past week that my neighbors were having a bunch of construction done at their house. And I was like, what is going on? Why are there all these construction vehicles in my neighbor's yard? And then I noticed all of the construction vehicles had giant poop emojis on them. And I said, uh-oh, this is going to be bad. And they're getting a new septic system put in.
Yeah. Actually, I'll recommend the two other good stories from that collection. There's one called Ribs Woman, which is a very like interesting body horror story of his. And then there's, I think it's called The House of the Phantom Pain.
Isn't that a Metal Gear game?
No.
Okay.
That's just The Phantom Pain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like, the loose premise of that one is that there's, like, this sick kid who, like, feels pain in, like, there are areas of the house that it's associated with. Like, it's some weird paranormal thing, and they hire people to go and, like, massage those areas and, like, investigate them, too.
That's interesting, yeah. That sounds cool.
Yeah. And so they eventually have to seal the house in to prevent the essence from escaping and spreading so that they don't have to go out and find other parts, I think, is what the premise is. But yeah, it's a very out there story. Yeah. The only other reason for recommending an older collection like that is that it's probably way cheaper now than the newer ones. So take that as you will. You can probably find a used copy. Alright, so let's move on to music.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, you can lead.
Okay, so this is just a song. This isn't a full album, but it's called Ghost Town, and it's by the band The Specials. Now, there's a couple releases of this song. The one I'm specifically talking about is the 2021 remaster. And you'll recognize it because it's got like a old-timey picture of like two skeletons playing piano or something. But this song, it's a ska band that performs it. So it's kind of got like a lot of trumpets, and it's a very upbeat song, but it's also kind of a creepy song. Like, it's got a lot of like, the best way I could describe it is like Egyptian type themes to it. Like, I mean, the premise of the song is they're singing about how the club is closing down and how it's becoming a ghost town, but there's like a lot of like cool moanings, and you know, it sounds like the kind of song it would play at a haunted place in Louisiana. That's the best way I can describe it. And it's both really fun and upbeat, but it's also kind of creepy, you know, and like it's got creepy imagery in the lyrics and stuff, and like I said, there's like a creepy moaning and stuff that happens in the song. So again, you just got to go and listen to it, but I think it's a perfect Halloween party type song.
Okay, neat. I want to try, since we're, oh man.
I think this is going to be one of our longer Halloween videos, but
yeah, so I kind of want to rocket through these next few ones. So, wouldn't be Halloween without Alice Cooper, and what would you know, the surviving members of the original band, the original Alice Cooper band, have reunited this year to do an album called The Revenge of Alice Cooper.
Perfect.
Yep. Unfortunately, the whole album isn't that perfect or fit for Halloween or October, so the tracks I'd recommend off of it are Black Mamba, Kill the Flies, which kind of reminds me of Renfield from Dracula a lot, if you can't tell from the title, One Night Stand, and then Intergalactic Vagabond Blues.
There you go.
So start out with those four. If you like them, check out the rest of the album. It's pretty much just like a kind of a, I don't know if generic's the word I should use, but it's just like a rock and roll album, which kind of different, but I don't know. But Black Mamba, great song. I get it stuck in my head all the dang time. Another one, I'm surprised I haven't checked this out sooner, but it's from a group called the Naoto Shibata Project, who he is the bassist and leader of the Japanese heavy metal band Anthem, and is probably one of the original founding members that's still with the band if they're currently active. I'm not overly aware, but anyway, in the year 1994, he did a Castlevania album.
Oh, really?
Like covers of a bunch of Castlevania songs. Called, and I always forget the order of this, so I'm glad I wrote it down. Perfect Selection Dracula Battle, where he covers a bunch of popular songs from the series like Bloody Tears, Vampire Killer, but also some kind of out of left field songs, like ones you wouldn't expect as a fan. And especially since it's 94, there are not as many, like, there's nothing from Symphony of the Night on there. Like, I think the newest game at the time was Rondo of Blood, or Bloodlines. Yeah. But it's a really awesome album. I even think it's fit for the people that aren't fans of the Castlevania series, because some of the like covers are a little bit different from the original songs. Like Calling from Heaven is very, very different from the original from Bloodlines. It's really awesome too, so listen to it. So you don't really have to go in with any expectation of what it should sound like, and you'll probably enjoy it more than a fan might.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, very cool album. You can only really listen to it on YouTube. I don't think it's streaming anywhere, and certainly don't try to buy a physical copy of it, because it'll be a couple $100. Do I want to recommend this one? Yeah, I'll recommend this one. So, I probably would have talked about this guy last year, had I remembered to during our year in review. But anyway, I come across this country singer from like the 70s through 90s called Townes Van Zandt. And he has this song called Our Mother the Mountain, which I was listening to like one of his albums because, I don't know, I picked it up. And that one came on, and it's just like it's kind of unassuming at first. And then when it finally hits you what it is, it's like, oh.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's kind of folksy at first and charming, but then it's like, oh, okay. There are actually two versions of the song. There's one from the album of the same name that's a little bit of a slower burn. Version I'd recommend is from an album called Rearview Mirror, which is a collection of live recordings of his from his like a tour he did in like the 80s, 90s. And that one's much quicker and kind of gets to the point a bit more faster, but I don't know. Check them both out. Yeah. Right. And let me know what you think the song's about. Is it a warning against creepy goth chicks that come out of the woods? Is it a warning against incest? Which, I don't know. It's a country music song, so maybe.
So
yeah. It also almost reminds me of a sea shanty, too, like just with the beat of it. I don't know why. And it sounds like the topic would be a sea shanty.
Just replace the goth chick with a siren.
Yeah. Actually, that's perfect. Then finally, Rob, I'm surprised you didn't recommend this, so I'm going to shame you for it.
Oh, really? Because I might shame you for it. But go on.
You're not going to shame me for this.
Just waiting.
Okay. So, a couple years back, I recommended a song from a Swedish metal band called Candlemass.
Okay, I was seeing if you remembered that.
Okay, and the song was called
Bewitched.
Bewitched. and I also recommended the music video because it's hilarious. Anyway, kind of keeping in tradition of doing that, because I think I've done a similar thing like this before, where the year before I recommend a song from the album, then I recommend the full album next year. I'm aware, Rob.
Okay. I was going to make fun of you. I was like, oh, didn't we already recommend this? Okay.
Yeah, we did. Nope. We're recommending the full damn album, Nightfall, from 1987. I forgot to write that part down, but it's from the late 80s. And it is awesome.
It's a blast.
It is. I don't even know where I begin. Like, Bewitched is a very obvious choice, but, like, Bewitched, compared to all the... Like, it's the odd one out in that album. It's like... like, there are so many other songs on it that just sound so different from it. It's crazy. And there are a lot of instrumental songs, too, that are fantastic and out of this world. Probably the best song off the album, I would say, doesn't even fit with the theme of Halloween or October, and that's Samaritan.
Mm-hmm. I don't even know which one's my favorite. I like so many of them on the album.
Yeah.
One that I don't know if this is my favorite, but it's one that really stuck out to me when I listened to it, and it's... I actually don't know what it's called, but it's some version of the word funeral march.
Marcia Funebre or something like that.
Yeah, Marcia Funebre or something like that.
It's got a funky noise.
It's a short song, but it's a very, like, loud and, like, it's pretty creepy, I think, too. Like, I don't know if it's actually, like, supposed to be a cover of some type of funeral march or if it's just a creepy song, but...
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. I think they use that in the beginning of the music video for Bewitched.
I don't know. I don't think I've
when
seen
they're carrying the casket out. Yeah.
But it's got a lot of guitar, a lot of sound, and it's just you can't listen to it and not have your mind have the images of black, smoky, black, foggy, gothic churches and stuff. Like, it's just it just puts you in the mood. And I should also point out that a lot of the some of the songs on this album may be a little familiar to people who have played Doom 100 million times like we have.
Yeah, like...
Because...
Man, I wanted to use this song, like, at the beginning of one of our Doom streams. Like, I think the last Tom Hall's ones we did.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the first two tracks, listen to those very, very closely. And recognize that, what is it? It's sinister.
Mm-hmm.
Like, very blatant. Like, I think one of the Doom wikis recognizes the first song, Gothic Stone, but not friggin' Well of Souls, which uses that phrase more pervasively. It just blows my mind.
I'm also curious if in Plutonia, which is an expansion for Doom, there's a map called Well of Souls, and I always wondered if it was tied to that song.
Could be. I mean, it would be funny if they used Sinister on that.
Yeah, it's been forever since I've played it, so I have to go back and check. But
yeah,
it's fun. It's got cool album art, and it's
a
good listen to. Like, you can listen to it start to finish pretty well. It is very 80s, which might be a turnoff for some people, but don't let it be a turnoff for you.
Yeah. And if I had one track to just recommend off the top, just to start with, it would probably be Black Candles, the final track on the album, which is instrumental only. It's a perfect example of a song that I wish went on forever.
That's funny, because the song I was going to recommend was Gallows End.
Oh yeah, that one's really good too.
That one also feels like it does go on forever, though. It is one of those songs that feels like it's a little long, but I think that's like a very good, encompassing song that'll let you know what the album's like.
Yeah. Yep, but no, like, yeah, this imagery and atmosphere are very important to metal. Like, I think a lot of people, or at least like this type of metal, and I don't know, a lot of people don't like just think, oh, it's supposed to be heavy and shit like that. But melody, imagery, and stuff like that, important too. And this album is chock for it, full of it.
And I should say, not all the songs are like dark and depressing. Like, there is like very strong, uplifting moments in the songs as well, which I really like. That you get a good mix of both.
Yeah. So yeah, listen to the album, or any of these albums. Let us know what your favorite is. Because they're all on YouTube. That's how I listened to most of these for the first time.
There will be links below.
So. Yeah. I'll have to be very diligent about that this year, and hopefully YouTube doesn't delete them. All right, so that's about it.
Yep, that's our recommendations for this year. Thank you so much if you've made it this far.
Yep.
We always love doing these videos. This is seriously one of my favorite things for the year. Sadly, we did not get to try this year's version of Voodoo because they're not doing Voodoo this year.
Oh, they didn't. I forgot about that too. That's unfortunate.
But just want to say Happy Halloween. Let the games begin.
Yep. And remember to recommend stuff to us. Let us know what you checked out from this list or from past years.
Mm-hmm.
What you thought of it. And we'll have our eyes and ears to the ground. And we'll maybe, hopefully, try to do a little bit more this year. We say that every year, but for Halloween. But we'll see. Plenty of stuff I didn't get a chance to check out.
Plenty of stuff I wanted to check out, and I thought, oh, this will be awesome. And then I checked it out, and I said, this isn't as awesome as I thought it was going to be. Yep.
Maybe we could do a video. All right. So anyway.
That's it. We're finished. Bye. Happy Halloween.
Bye.